Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, old SC2 fans and new SC2 fans alike, this is Day 9 Daily, number 655, where literally we're going to learn to be a better gamer by appreciating the greatest SC2 game that has ever been played. Ever. Oh my god, this game was so good. Oh my god, this game was so good. Bomber vs. Scarlett Game 3 will go down in history as what many people will call one of the greatest games ever, but they're wrong, because it's literally the greatest game that has ever been played. As a brief summary of the game, and by the way, I will spoil it, Scarlett will end up winning, but let's walk through the entire game to appreciate all the things that we're going to appreciate in detail soon. It starts off with Scarlett doing a brilliant metagame read, doing a build order that's very unusual, but tuned to her opponent and the map. We'll talk about why that is the case. We'll talk about how Scarlett responds upon being in kind of a flubbed, bad spot. We'll then sort of follow up into how both players dip back into the usual mid-game of Mutiling Baneling versus Marine Marauder Medevac Mine, the style. Then we'll just analyze a lot of the mid-game, when it's time to give up, how Scarlett was totally boned, and yet still stuck in there as long as she could, being brilliant. And then we're just going to kind of go, oh! In a sense, we'll probably learn like 50-60% of the time, and that remaining chunk, we're just going to go, that sort of thing. So, it's going to be a good time. I'm going to drink a little bit more water. Pixel Knight and Crazy Chris were there, live from the chat. They were there at Red Bull, and it was dope. Was so good. Oh, just call me Steve was there. Hello, Steven. Oh, it was so good. Oh, Ajax Craft, someone from the front row. Wonderful to see you. This game was so good. Oh, look, here's the only announcement I have to make. I'm not going to be doing any other shows this week because it's Thanksgiving. And I've done like 5 events in the last 6 weekends. So I'm just going to take a break and go on Thanksgiving break. Coming back will be usual weeks with the Fun Day Mondays and the regular shows and the Day 9's Day Off. Wednesday, we're going to be doing a little Hearthstone show for a little bit, seeing how that goes. But mostly it's StarCraft, because that's what I do. Let's hop into the game. Let's hope I have the right overlay system up. Yes! Oh my god. The reward I feel. Do we even have the sound on? Ooh! 2 for 2. His name's Day 9. He's fashionable all the time. Let's see even if I have the number 4 row set up. Ooh, scene 4. Look at that. The Angry Krabby minimap. Rawr. Looks definitely like some sort of funky Pokemon face zoomed in. So, the usual thing that's going to be going on is natural expansions, as to be expected. Actually, I'll do it on this screen. Natural expansion with a very tiny choke, very nice. There's a third that's literally right around the corner, like super unbelievably close. But what made this map particularly interesting, and why it was chosen for the Red Bull map pool, is that it has this gold mineral patch that's up at this north side here. It's even a gold mineral patch with a watchtower right next to your enemy's golden mineral patch. So there's immediately some ways that we start to get a little bit tickled. So I haven't done any gold mineral analysis in like 2 years because they've all been removed. But let's go through some of the normal considerations for gold minerals. What many people tend to do is their normal build order, and then when they get the gold, they just build more of the mineral unit. So you'll see a Zerg player go for his regular 3-hatch build with his regular 3-base build, which is his main, his natural, and his third. And instead of 1 macro hatch, they'll have 2. Very typical. Other alternatives that we see are players who have build orders that kind of involve rushing for the gold in some way to do some huge mineral-based attack. Like, if I take the gold right now, I can do a tremendous Ling Baneling bust on 2 base. But there's 2 slightly more subtle things that we'll see players do revolving around the gold mineral patch. That is One is to be much more aggressive at the start of the game, because even if it doesn't work out, you get your gold mineral patch faster. So you sort of make up for the lost minerals and the aggression by getting up your gold. So we'll sometimes see 10 pool into gold. Other times we'll see players who will do the normal build, but they'll get gas way, 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 way faster. Because if we have all these extra minerals from this here gold expansion, then we can afford to get our gas much more quickly. So these are just some considerations to make. I'm going to blow on the cat hair on the desk. Oh my god, by the way, I'm moving my mouse really vigorously left to right, and look at the path that it's taking. It's time for compressed air. There we go. That's better. Okay. So there's just some general goals to think about at the start of the game. So what do we oftentimes see at the from the Terran player? Well, in general, on a map like this, we would see some way to get a very, very fast gold. Think of the ways Terrans do that. They go command center barracks and wall off. Sometimes even going in immediate third command center. Maybe they'll do the usual opening with the Hellions and just go expand here and then a very fast third. Everyone wants to get the damn gold up fast, especially if they're Terran. So Scarlett does a really clever adjustment. I want you to imagine all the early defenses for all those super early expand builds. Command center, barracks, supply depot, wall off. Okay, what else is there? Well, sometimes we'll go barracks, reaper, command center, command center. It's another very common one. As we're thinking through all those, I want you to recall that you will be seeing almost exclusively 2 supply depots as the last line of defense for the Terrans. Almost exclusively. You know what's another cool thing? Most Terrans who are going ultra macro heavy on 2-player maps don't scout. Because you can hold off a 6 pool with command center, barracks, supply depot. Dude, I gotta turn my mouse pad upside down. I went and got some delicious tacos for dinner, and I spilled a lot of it on my mouse pad, and with the cat hair, that's a real problem. So yeah, most players won't even scout because you can hold off a 6 pool, so what Scarlett is actually going to do is this huge Ling Baneling bust opening. It's not the first time we've seen her do it. She's done it in WCS. Look at this. Blindly gas on 14. Blindly. Following it up with a pool. Now, for any of you who haven't seen this build, you have not seen Dimaga in the beta. Once upon a time, the 1-base Ling Baneling bust had almost a 100% win rate against Terran players because the only real way to defend it was to have multi-layered wall-offs at the front of the base. Like supply depot with the barracks, supply depot with a factory, and another emergency barracks constructed. All this sort of jazz. So this is a nice metagame play from Scarlett. Since then, it has become very, very easy to hold off if you scout it, if you know what's up. But Scarlett, again, assuming that Bomber's going to be doing these sorts of aggro plays, or excuse me, these sorts of hyper-passive plays, she's going to be in great shape against it. However, there's another big benefit to it, which is that if your opponent tries to do this cheesy business, you can just win the game outright. So this was super exciting because I thought to myself, wow, Scarlett is actually going to win this game with the metagame. Sorry, I just typed in the chat real fast. I was like, oh my god, this is such great reads. But here's what Scarlett sees right away that just really tickled the fancy. Right here, we see no wall off. Every early expand play has a wall off. So we can really boil it down to either a command center first with a player who's bad, and Scarlett you can see kind of parking herself there just to kind of check, or it's some sort of 2 barracks, or it's a Reaper proxy. So when we're here, Here's what Scarlett's doing. She's going to check for an expand. Wait, there's no expand. And then here's another key signal. This SCV goes this way. Notice that this SCV is not angled down to the expansion. It's angled out. So Scarlett instantly responds by beginning to retreat her overlords back here. Instantly goes up here to check for gas. Why checking for gas? Because this is either a proxy Reaper or this is a 2-Rax. Now to note, Bomber has gone for the proxy Reaper play against Scarlett in this series. Has gone for proxy Reaper against Scarlett when they played in WCS. He does the proxy Reaper many times just against Scarlett at the very least. And Bomber has also done 2-Rax in the past. So I mean, this is a really fantastic, extremely situational opening from Scarlett. And I think she does a very brilliant move, leaving 2 in the gas as well. So then this happens. Okay, so what's the goal right now? So first Scarlett's going to run out and catch this attack way off guard. These 2 overlords are in the most dangerous position. This is an easy way to just lose the game right here. And it looks like Scarlett notices that and begins to pull it back. So Scarlett sees the retreating units, gets the Baneling Nest for the bust style play anyways, which again I think is fine, and I think it could have won this game outright. Here comes a decision that I'm not as tremendous a fan of. These Zerglings rush all the way up into the main and then back. There's some sort of indecision here. I don't think these Zerglings should have been charging all the way up. I think one of 2 things should have happened. Scarlett should have either tried to catch these off guard, go Baneling bust, and, well, actually, any Baneling bust decision that Scarlett makes, keeping the Lings together is really important. Because if Scarlett keeps the Lings together, then her Baneling bust is guaranteed to work. I mean, just imagine this Baneling bust, the standard one, versus a weaker Baneling bust. Okay, in the normal Baneling bust, you'll move up with like 5 to 6 Banelings to break the wall, and you'll flood in with 12 to 16 Zerglings. And that's how you win. You just swarm through with the Zerglings. Now imagine if it's 5 to 6 Banelings, which you have to make anyways because you need to knock down the wall, with 6 to 12 Zerglings. Much easier to just lose all your Zerglings right there and have wasted the money on the Banelings. So running these Zerglings up, I think, is a real classic thing that happens in these situations where it's like, oh my god, I might be able to win the game. Go, 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 go. These Zerglings should definitely go up if these Marines were pulling all the way over here to do a counter. That would have been great, except just a few seconds ago at the 4-minute mark. Well, I guess I should pull it back at the 350 mark. Scarlett just saw that. So I think that this was the first sort of like Ermagerd moment, like the, oh my gosh, I'm going to win. Like right there. See, it's right. Right here is where Scarlett should have just had these Lings chill, sweep to kill off these barracks since they're clearly down here, and then go for the Baneling bust to win. Because again, keeping the Zerglings in an appropriate order. And that's just because these things are here. If I saw nothing, I'd be like, alright, sweet, I'm going to go for the counter. And I'm going to have all my Zerglings rallied nearby. But yes, then this happens. And this is where I think Scarlett lost the opportunity to just end the game. Because we see that the Zergling speed is not done yet. You see there's 2 Zerglings down. At the very last second, Scarlett canceled. You see these small Zergling numbers not really working as well. And now, how do you Baneling bust in a position like this, where you have 10 Lings, 2 are here, 4 are here. Where's the other ones? Where are the Lings? Oh, there they are. Yeah, so there's like some here, some here, some here. We can imagine if the 2 Zerglings stayed alive, it could have been like warp in Banelings, kill off the front, end the game. But, alack alas, etc. Now, I go through that analysis not to be like, yeah, Scarlett, wow, you totally messed up, oh my god. This is one of those things where I would say that probably everyone in Scarlett's position including pros, probably would have done the exact same thing because it's so easy in that panicked moment to be like, oh my god, I'm gonna win, let's do it, oh god, blah, and to sort of dart in there. I mean, it's such a small decision to move up with 4 Zerglings. It's not like a, oh my god, you lost the game sort of thing, but this is a very easy way to, like, for the over-eagerness to catch you off guard. Running Zerglings up into the main base is something that works well with standard play, but in a lot of these rush positions, just keeping the units together. So this is where Scarlett, I think, does something very, very smart. Obviously pulling back to expand. So good. Very clever metagame opening. Sees this command center down. So now what? The usual build order is to go in straight for one of these guys. Going straight for the third. Or even for the third here. But we talked about this notion of going for aggression early, because you can make up the minerals later. Scarlett goes directly for a layer. Layer. There it is. There's a layer. We even saw a little bit of indecision where it was like a queen and then layer. But I really like this decision a lot. For 2 reasons. For one, Bomber is likely going to be producing non-stop out of these barracks. He's probably not going to be going straight into Hellion at this point because we have seen a lot of evidence that Bomber goes for things other than Hellions in his openings. Mainly Marines and occasionally some weird like Marine medevac Marauder push or sometimes Marauder Hellion, that sort of thing. What most players do after failed 2 racks is go for a fast third. I'd probably say even 9 times out of 10 sort of frequency. And especially Bomber, who's done it so many times before. So Scarlett just preempts everything by going straight for the very, very fast Spire. This is good because it's going to lock the enemy out of their third. It's going to allow us to take our gold third. Continued scooting around, scouting out in every which way. Whoops, 1 in the gas, no big deal. Double gas with 1 in the gas. Of course, will only happen on the main stage when you're super nervous. Hell yeah. So this is a build order that I think is becoming a little more common. I don't want to call it actually a build order. I want to call it more like a theme. This is a more common theme that we're seeing out of Zerg versus Terraners, where the Zerg will actually go for 2 base, very fast Spire, and then take a little bit of a delayed third to try to really get the Mutalisks up and going. So yeah, there's Bomber's factory. Wasn't an unbelievably fast factory. Just sort of a more typically timed space control-y type factory. And to talk a little bit more at length about this decision from Scarlett that I love so much, going for this Spire, I mean, what can the Terran player really do to us? Well, he can go for something like a combat shield marine push, small numbers of late factory units. Obviously, this is all in the context of him going for a fast third command center. Nothing really too threatening early on. So you know what we don't need as Scarlett? We don't need Baneling Nest. We don't need to be building even a lot of Zerglings. Here's the third coming down. I mean, maybe some Hellions will show up, but they're not going to be able to kill off or shut down this expansion at all. I just want to direct your eyes up to this top side. What's going on with the larva? There's something that I will call larva heavy units and larva cheap units. There's some maths in there, I guess. People are talking about the cat in chat. Kitties! Let's see if I can get the cat in here and then see what I was going to say. Wow. Man, I got distracted easily. Goodness. Whatever. So larva expensive units are, it's just like the ratio of the money to the amount of larva it takes to, how do you want to say it? Okay, look, I'm just going to give examples, okay? How much, okay, here's the cleanest way to put it. Imagine if you had 2,000 resources. How many of unit, or how many larvae would it take to build unit X? That's how you determine if it's a larva expensive unit. So if I had like 2,000 minerals, how many larvae would it take to burn all that on Zerglings? Would take a lot. Is that 40 larvae? Is that right? Oh my god, I made myself do math on air. So, to just like so much. 40. It is 40. Oh my god, maths. Oh thank god. Would take 40 larvae. Jesus, that is as stressed as I have ever been. Okay, Mutilus, if you had 2,000 resources, how many larvae would it take? Well, it would take 10. Because if you had 1,000 minerals, 1,000 gas, then it just takes 10 larvae. So, if you are in a low econ situation, you will have problems that you will face, such as defending attacks or dealing damage. For whatever problem you have, if you are in a low econ situation, you want to be choosing the units that are low on larva. So let's take a usual standard macro Zerg who takes 3 bases quite quickly. How do you see Zergs defending against Reaper Hellion? With lots of Zerglings, and maybe even some Banelings thrown in there. Larva expensive, because we've got larva to spare. We got 3 hatches, we got 3 queens. Nice. We've even had those so long we've already got 60 drones, so we have the larva to spare. Nice. In this circumstance, Scarlett, who's suddenly a little bit behind on the larva count, who's a little bit behind on the base count. What is a way that she can continue to defend and apply pressure with Mutalisks, a much more larva expensive, or excuse me, a much more larva cheap unit that's resource expensive. So what happens is, this allows Scarlett to get up to 50 or so drones, and then only need a couple of larvae to get up the nice control army. So the general rule is that if you are in a low econ circumstance, you and your buddy, that is your enemy is your buddy. If you and your enemy are in that low econ circumstance, do the larva cheap units, the expensive resource units, in order to stay alive. And that's just to make sure you have enough larvae left over to drone. So look at this. Despite going 1 base, Scarlett's able to both accelerate all the way up, and in the circumstance where we see these Hellions coming out, this very moment reveals exactly what I'm talking about. 8 Zerglings produced, and even if the larva popped off, I mean, we don't really want to be trying to make a really weak, tiny amount of Zerglings to stay alive. I mean, this is what this 3rd queen is about. Look at that. Queens are the cheapest on larva, because they take exactly 0 larva. So I'm going to go back to the Ace for Scarlet Cam. Yeah, so there's something that I talk about, just oodles and oodles and oodles, which is the idea of mid-game convergence, which is that you might open in whatever which way, but you want to make sure that you are converging onto all the stuff that you would get in any typical traditional game. So what's missing from this? Well, what's missing is a macro hatch, some evolution chambers. I don't know if it's my mouse or my mouse pad, but I can't click on anything, man. I can't click. Come on, mouse. Ugh. Alright, arrow keys are my friend. So yeah, nice. I think, yeah, so what's missing? The double evolution chamber, the macro hatch. This, a fully running 4th with all sorts of larvae popping on out of it. God, I might unplug this mouse and plug it back in again after this. This was actually driving me insane. Okay, I'm going to finish this and we're going to go to break where I can clean my mouse. Yeah, so we see what sort of stuff Scarlett's missing. As a quick example of slowly converging back to mid-game, I want to watch Bomber's vantage point super quickly, just so we can get another sense of how that's done. So, I mean, we see these sorts of, oh my god, defensive maneuvers that are clearly hyper-specific, but watch as Bomber simply returns back to all the pieces of the mid-game. Gets the add-ons for the barracks, gets the tech labs for the stim and combat shield and those sort of things. Alright guys, we're going to go on a break because I can't click on anything. When we come back, we're going to conclude part 1 at the start of part 2. We'll talk about that mid-game convergence, and then we're going to start looking at how things begin to get #dicey. Stay tuned, because we're coming up with our second part in just a moment. Alright, I can't actually click